Hey guys, this is Derek from the Wrestling IQ 101 podcast. I just want to let you know about this great deal that we have with Collar and Elbow. Collar and Elbow is where urban streetwear meets wrestling. Act now and use our discount code WIQ101 to receive extra savings at checkout when you visit collarandelbowbrand.com today. Wrestling IQ 101 and Collar and Elbow. It's a match made in wrestling heaven.
Yeah. Look, Wrestling 101, classes in session. Pay attention to the teachings, that's from Andrew and Derek. I mean, these guys making a killing with no competition. Dynamic duo better than the Hardy Boys and the Dudley Boys. Everybody make some noise, mess with them, you get destroyed. They cannot be beat, take a seat. Watch them do their thing on the MIC. Face defeat, they cannot be seen like JC. Oh my goodness, it's a killing spree.
This is Public Enemy number one, TJ Marconi. You're listening to the Wrestling IQ 101. Now you got a story to tell.
Hey guys, welcome back to another edition of Wrestling IQ 101. I'm Andrew alongside Derek.
Yep.
And you can follow Wrestling IQ 101 on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Wrestling IQ 101. You can listen to us right here on YouTube, or if you search us on iTunes, you can find us at Wrestling IQ 101 or the B Plus Player. And today we're sitting with WoW superhero Razor. How's it going?
Hey there. You know, I really prefer the term supervillain, if I'm being totally honest with you.
Yeah, you're not the only one. Jesse Jones also likes that. But,
Yeah.
you know, everyone has their own.
Jessie, she's always stealing my ideas.
Yeah,
Sure.
You see that? It's kind of like Batman. It's like you're the hero and then you become the villain after a while, right?
So, Razor, you know, you have carved your own path throughout, and a little backstory, right? You were behind the scenes doing some writing for them, right? And you got into the ring with them, right? Because you were a wrestler prior.
Yeah, so basically, they were looking for a writer. I didn't even know it was WoW. And I applied and I got that job. And so I'm writing. I'm like, wow, I'm perfect for this because I know everything about wrestling, and especially about women's wrestling. And eventually they had an audition for wrestlers. And I said, hey, you know, is it a conflict of interest if I try out for this, even though I'm a writer? And apparently Selena Majors and David McLean talked about it. And Selena told David, if we don't let her do this, she's going to wonder for the rest of her life what could have been. And so they let me audition, and of course I smashed it.
Yeah, definitely. So, you know, like how did you get that passion for wrestling? Like, is there like a moment that you had or anything that stuck with you throughout your childhood that just made you want to go into this?
I saw China on my TV when I was flipping through channels.
Yeah.
And I said, who is that? That lady looks awesome. And so I started watching from that moment on. And then eventually, you know, hit puberty and stuff. For honestly, women in the WWE, stuff didn't get really good. It was all like supermodels doing stuff for a while. And so I was like, I'm not really into this anymore. And I moved on to other stuff in my life. And then one of those things I did is I worked with video games and with writing. And at a video game convention, I met a wrestler and we got to chatting. And I learned, you know, about all the changes that had happened in the industry since then. So I went and I signed up for a school right then and there because it was a dream that kind of always lived inside of me that I never gave up on, but you know, it wasn't the right time.
Yeah, definitely. And you were actually you're a fan of Glow at the time too, right? You're actually you know, wishing that, you know, something was around that was like Glow, and then, you know, long behold, you know, here's WoW, which is kind of like literally a modern version of, you know, what Glow was.
Absolutely. I was literally standing in the ring after I cut a promo at a different place, and they said, "Oh, you sound like a Glow girl," and I wanted to cry almost because I was just like, "That's all I want to be."
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's cool that you're living out your dream. You know, you're part of the Psycho Sisters. You know, how did that come about? And you know, where do you see yourself going in this tag team tournament? Because you got some stiff competition.
The Psycho Sisters is basically a place for any woman who's been misunderstood and who wants to take her power back. and not let other people's opinions about her and other people's kind of desires and hopes and dreams for her take precedence over her own hopes and desires and dreams. And so that's where the Psycho Sisters came from. And Fury and Mesmeriah are two girls who feel the same way as I do. They have very different backgrounds than I do. They had their own trauma that they brought with them to the ring. And I think that's what sets us apart from the other women in the tag teams. Everybody else is looking out for themselves, and they're teaming up out of convenience. But the Psycho Sisters are sisters. We are a team. We are a unit. And we function and we think and we act as a unit. And that's what gives us an edge in this tournament. And that's why there's no other team that deserves to be the tag team champions of WoW, in my opinion, more than the Psycho Sisters.
Yeah, definitely. And, you know, kind of like what you kind of, you know, described it as kind of like being more than what a team is, kind of like a gang, and kind of hinted at, you know, that there possibly could be, you know, other members that could be, you know, a part of the Psycho Sisters. Is there anyone, can you reveal anyone that could possibly be a Psycho Sister on the way, or are you going to keep that from us?
Nope, it's a secret. You'll have to keep watching to find out.
Definitely.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, there's so many great people that you can choose from. You know, it wasn't too long ago where, you know, your partner Fury got in the ring with fire, right? And that was a hard hitting match. Were you proud after that match of Fury's the way she was able to hang out, because she was, you know, that was a pretty intense match, and after that beatdown was pretty surreal.
You know, I'm always proud of my sisters. I'm a little disappointed because I think she could have won that match. You know, going in, she's a bigger, stronger opponent. There wasn't really a reason for us to ever assume she would lose that match. So we definitely watch it back and try to look for the weaknesses and figure out, you know, what was the mistake that caused this. And, you know, we took our immediate anger out on Fire as she was available to us. And going forward, it's not going to happen again.
Yeah, definitely. And, you know, coming up, you know, growing up in LA and, you know, being, you know, smaller in stature, you know, you always had to kind of like prove yourself to show that you could, you know, hang with the girls. Do you still feel like you have something to prove? And is that a mindset like you just had your whole life?
Absolutely. I'm hungry always. And people always underestimate me. From my looks to my size, people like to look at me and put me in a box. She's this, she's that, she's the third. People have no idea what I am. I am smarter than anyone thinks I am, and I'm stronger than anybody thinks I am, and I'm a better wrestler than any of these girls think I am. And so people tend to look at the Psycho Sisters and they look at Fury and they say that's the threat. And that's why they don't see me coming.
Sure. I mean, do you have some solo aspirations, or do you want to go after that WoW championship that Tessa's holding on so dearly?
Not really, no. That looks like a mess. Just chaos and a mess is going on, and I want to wait till the dust settles on that.
Oh, sure. I mean, the Beast, I mean, the Jungle, oh my God. It's just like, yeah, I don't want to be in that either.
On.
Yeah, it's a lot. You know, and that's the great part about WoW, because, you know, even some of the other storylines that take place around that hour episode on Access TV at 8 o'clock Eastern Time, they're just as meaningful as sometimes the main event. And that's awesome that you're getting to be a part of this tag team competition. What does that mean for you, though? What does the tag team division mean to you at WoW?
Well, first I want to just address the other thing you said. This is one of the reasons why I'm telling everybody they need to be watching WoW. Because all of these other big promotions are getting in, oh, look, they're having this kind of woman or that kind of woman. Look, they're trying. WoW doesn't even have to be in the same level as these other promotions, because they are. They are showing women's stories, women of all different colors, ethnicities, shapes, sizes, sexualities. Everything you can imagine is on display and has a story and is meaningful in WoW. They don't just have throwaway matches in WoW. Everything has a meaning. Everything has a purpose. And that's one of the things why I'm living my dream wrestling with WoW right now, because as a writer and as a wrestling fan, it doesn't really get any better than that. As far as the tag team tournaments, I just know that this is our destiny. So it means everything to me. We are going to be the champions, and I'm finally going to have that gold around my waist that I've been wanting to have since I was 7 years old.
Another question for you, because the first thing everyone sees about you is that face paint and the color hair. How'd you come up with that style of face paint, and how do you change your hair? What makes you change it to different colors?
The face paint that the Psycho Sisters wear is an homage to the Heavy Metal Sisters of Glow. It's a direct, like if you go back and you look at promo pictures of the Heavy Metal Sisters, you'll see exactly where the idea came from. As far as changing my hair, it just goes with my mood. What do I feel like today? Do I feel green? Do I feel purple? Do I feel red? Do I feel blue? I don't know. We'll find out.
Yeah, well, that unpredictability also leads to the ring, right? I mean, you can't hold you down.
Yeah,
Nobody ever sees Razor coming. That's the fun part.
Absolutely.
Absolutely, for sure. How was your transition, like, from, being behind the scenes, going into the ring? Like, how was that training regimen like? And, did you find it to be difficult at first when you made the switch?
No, because I had been training previously. And the dojo for WoW is very intense, but I've also trained at the New Japan dojo. I've trained at the Santino Bros dojo. So those other trainings prepared me for how intense and how physical the training at WoW was going to be. It's not what a lot of people, I think, would think that it is. It's incredibly intense. You're going to be dripping with sweat within 5 minutes of being there. It's a lot of conditioning, a lot of psychology, and then a lot of working and being able to work on the fly.
Sure. I mean, Selena Majors must put you through the test. I mean, and not just you, but all the ladies there too, right? They got to see if you're going to hold up for years to come, right?
Definitely. And Selena Majors comes from the old school background times of when, like, back in the day, you were rough on the people that you trained because you didn't want them to be in the industry. You didn't want them to take your spot. And so she's not trying to hurt anybody, but she is rough. She's going to hit you with everything she's got because she wants to know that you want to be there.
Yeah, for sure. And, something I found very interesting, just you being a part of the Psycho Sisters and, you being a part of WoW in general and, just what WoW stands for. Women come all shapes, sizes, and colors. And, outside of the ring, you have your podcast that you do as well, the Women's Wrestling Friends podcast. And, it kind of represents the same thing that you're standing for right now. So kind of like, how did you get started in that? And, can you just explain to our fans, like, what's it all about?
Absolutely. It all comes with the same thing. That's why when I say I'm living my dream, like, I mean that in the deepest sense. So Women Wrestling Friends was created with my best friend, who is also a wrestling fan, Tamara Brooks. And what we do is we show the world that women love wrestling just as much as guys love wrestling. Because there's just a lot of myths, I guess you could say. There's this weird belief that women don't like wrestling. But if you actually go to wrestling shows, both indie shows and non-indie wrestling shows, the audience has way more women in it than you'd ever expect. If you go back in the archives and you watch WWF, for example, you're seeing women in the front row since the 80s. And I know from older footage, women have been in the front row of wrestling shows since the 40s. So every decade, women have been watching and enjoying wrestling for our own reason. And so that's kind of what Women Wrestling Friends podcast is all about, is talking with women who are wrestling fans and some women who are wrestlers or wrestling managers or announcers as well. But the vast majority of people we talk to, we just want people to get an insight into what do fans of wrestling think when we're women? What are we looking at? What are we interested in? And telling other women that you're not alone and it's not something to be ashamed of that you love wrestling.
That's awesome that you're empowering women through the podcast and on Access TV every Saturday night. I mean, it's just absolutely incredible. Let me ask you this. Are there anybody that you're looking at personally that you want to just get into the ring with? Is anybody just ticking you off back there, like Steffi Slays or the Lioness or anybody?
Absolutely. What's that heifer call herself? IQ Superior, Samantha Smart. Mm-hmm. She talks a lot of smack online for a girl who hasn't stepped in the ring. And I would absolutely feel honored to be her first opponent and beat the crap out of her because she runs her mouth too much.
Wow. I mean, you heard it here. I mean, that's a great opponent, and yeah, we'd love to see that match. Well, I don't know about WoW Smart, but that's crazy.
If she's smart, she'll stay out of the way. But, being in the ring now as well, are you still able to, really be a fan and, be able to watch, like, wrestling and analyze it? Or do you have, like, a different viewpoint when you watch, your peers and other promotions, and you talk about in your podcast, do you have like a different point of view now that you're actually in the ring?
Oh, absolutely. Like most fans watching wrestling just want to hear a big boom and they want to see someone fly through the air.
Yeah.
So a lot of times I'm watching a match and I'm like, whoa, they missed several spots, or oh, that was a miscommunication. Oh, they didn't mean to do that. But the fans will watch it and they're like, oh, someone flew through the air and landed hard. Yeah, it's the best match I've ever seen in my life. And so it's kind of funny and sometimes frustrating how different my viewpoint of a match is than the average fan's viewpoint. And it makes you become kind of like an elitist in a way. And it's something you have to fight against and to try and just like find that part of you that used to just enjoy it for the sake of enjoyment. But I will say I have always been a fan of storytelling. And my favorite matches are the matches that tell a story, even without speaking. People like Chris Jericho and Eddie Guerrero, they were really good at telling stories with their bodies, with their faces, with the things that they did. Whereas a lot of modern wrestlers want to tell the stories either by speaking before a match or speaking after a match, things like that. So what I've always enjoyed is storytelling. And so I can't even say that I've changed that much. It's just that now I notice more.
Got you.
Sure. I mean, it must be difficult, passing on some of these ideas to people, because especially if you have one for yourself and you just got to be selfless, right? You just got to pass the buck, right?
Not really, no. I've been really good about getting my ideas for myself, like, they make sense, so they all go through. And my ideas for other people are for other people.
Okay.
So, yeah, I haven't really run into that issue.
Oh, that's cool.
Got you. Now, when I was doing research on you, I saw that you dislike authority figures. I can agree with you on that. And you dislike dogs. That I have a big problem with you about. Why do you not like dogs? What's going on?
Dogs drool. You have to take them outside to poop, and if you don't take them outside, they poop and pee all over the place. Every time I'm talking to somebody, they're like, oh, yeah, blah, 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 I saw a dog. It peed everywhere. That's disgusting. They lick you in the mouth after eating their own poop. They follow you blindly like a slave. I don't like any of that. It's gross.
Oh, man. I'm heartbroken right now.
Yeah, we all have dogs here. Oh, man. When they gave you the okay to go out and to fulfill your dream and be a wrestler on WoW, did you have a conversation with them before, like if you didn't get it, did you have any thoughts like that?
Oh no, absolutely not. Because I was still getting to contribute to the dream. Mm-hmm. Writing is still one of my passions. It's still something that I love doing. So no, I was fine, but I needed to know.
Yeah, definitely. No, that's for sure. And, we want to say, we thank you for this time. We know we have to wrap it up. We really appreciate you, taking out the time, answering our questions. For all of our fans that are out there, could you just give them your social media and, where they can find you if they want to connect with you?
Definitely. First of all, you need to connect with WoW at WoW Superheroes. That's on all of the social medias you can be on. If you search WoW Superheroes, they'll pop right up. And then you can find me at Razor_WoW and sometimes WoW_Razor because I'm crazy and I like to switch it up. So just look up Razor and WoW and I'm sure to pop up for you.
Sure, absolutely. And you're going to have to check out Access TV every Saturday night for Women's of Wrestling. If you don't have it, call up your local cable provider. Make sure you get Access TV because you don't want to miss the action of WoW. They have some of the best women wrestlers in the world. And for us, this has been Wrestling IQ 101. You can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Wrestling IQ 101. You can subscribe right here on YouTube or search us on iTunes under B Plus Player Network across all platforms of Wrestling IQ 101. And Razor, thanks again for taking out the time, and we'll be watching you every week.
Thanks for having me, and soon I'll be the tag team champion of WoW, so look out for it.
Awesome. Definitely, rooting for you. We'll see you soon.